What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia again. Today I'm looking for another property that I could buy a piece of for $1,000. If you haven't been watching these videos, I'm doing some investing. I'm on websites where you can buy fractional shares of real estate. The one I've been focused on the last couple of videos has been Lofty AI. I'm going to be trying several different ones. As I mentioned last time, I've got a link in the description below where if you want to get a free $50 gift certificate to buy your first property on Lofty, it's on there. There are, you have to sign up for an account. Doesn't cost you anything. I used my first one right away that somebody sent me. Just, full disclosure, if you do that and you put money in and buy other properties, they send me $50 certificate as well. At the moment, I'm not, fully willing to endorse this platform. I've just been experimenting. I have put a chunk of my own money on so far, and I feel pretty good about it. But it is, it's something that you want to do your own due diligence on. I'm going to be experimenting with this site, with ground floor. Um, Probably going to pick a couple others, but I'm gonna go through these slowly. As I mentioned, I'm not an expert in crypto or in these platforms themselves, but I really do feel comfortable saying I'm an expert in real estate investing. I've been investing in real estate for 20 years. My day job is I primarily sell real estate to other investors as an agent here in San Antonio, Texas. I spend a lot of time analyzing properties. And, when I've noticed a lot of the people pushing these platforms, I think most of them are looking at the data on the sites and not doing a great job of, really doing some of the other due diligence that they can do without leaving home, without having to go visit the properties. I think there's a lot of other info that we can look at to sort of make a better investing decision. And that's what I'm trying to go through on these properties. That's what I'm hoping to share. I think the video I made last time, I went ahead and tried to pull the trigger on some of those tokens, although that trade is still hasn't closed. The one thing I don't love about Lofty is it takes a long time to get money onto the site, and I've moved some more so that I can purchase directly. And once you have your money on there, it should be instant. So if I find a property today. I think it's going to be able to just buy it right away with the money I have in the wallet. But that other purchase is actually pulling from my bank account, and their ACH process is just really slow. I actually put money on this platform and one other the same day, and it took me 4 extra days to get it onto here than from the other one. So, in any case, one thing you might have noticed just since last time, they've changed their interface on their marketplace. Um, One of the things, obviously, I can't show all the due diligence I do on every property because, well, I would just be recording. I'm spending a lot of time on this, and so I would just be recording constantly. Um, but so, you know, I've looked through at a lot of properties and I've just ruled them out. Um, One of the big filters I'm using right now is I'm not try not to invest in states that have a personal income tax on the state level, because I don't want any income that I generate from these properties to trigger an additional reporting. I realized, just adding, I'd have to put a bunch of money in for it to be worth it to do that in a specific state. And I might eventually do that. So some of the properties seem like they have great yields in certain states, but they are places that I've avoided in general with investing in properties because the markets. In any case, let's jump into what I actually picked out a property after spending some time ruling a few out, but I picked out one that I think that I want to do some extra due diligence on. One of the things that I like in the way they set up their marketplace now is I can sort by token price. Um, as I mentioned last time, I think that some of these are not. I think this is part of the opportunity here, right? Is to be able to buy some discounted tokens meaning that my basis in the property will be lower than I think maybe it deserves to be. Um, Obviously there could be things that I'm missing, but so this is the one that I want to take a look at today. It's 445 Street in Memphis, Tennessee, and I didn't do a ton of due diligence on this, but I think that, let's see, I always spell Tennessee wrong. See, um, I Google it, and does Tennessee have a state income tax? You can see it auto completes because I've done this a lot of places. But I got this answer here. Tennessee has 6.5 corporate income tax rate. Um, I think, I don't believe this applies. Although, as with everything, you want to ask your tax professional, if there's going to be any other implications from investing in these properties. There are. I believe you're gonna get a K1 for each of these if I understand things correctly. But that surface level, um, I think is all I'm doing on these. Because if I do end up having to file a return because I screwed something up, it's not the end of the world for me. Um, I think eventually I might end up having quite a bit of money on some of these platforms, and so it might even turn out to be worth it if I'm buying quite a bit in certain states. But if I do end up picking up any in a state where I'm going to pay income tax, then I'll obviously state income tax. I'll obviously spend a little bit of time or more time looking for properties in that state. But so here we go. This is one that we found. It's just a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot single family home in Memphis, Tennessee. It's a traditional rental. It's not a short-term rental like the one we looked at last time. We're going to start off just like I have every time. And I think this is, where most investing should start off, right? Like you should look at, this is my personal opinion too. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go about this, but the first thing I want to know is I want to know about the market. I don't really know a lot about Memphis. Um, you can see very good sized city. Um, and so that's one of the things I'm very, the bigger the city, I think, um, the less likely it is to get wiped out by like a single employer or a single industry going down. And so that's something I like to see. It's not a huge city, but it's not a little town that's completely dependent on one source of employment. So that's great. I want to go down to, this is the thing that I'm always looking at, right? Historical population. Oh, and this is surprising to me. I did not expect to see a shrinking population here. Um, this is something that I would generally rule this property out immediately if it was part of my, if it was something that I was going to buy the whole home as an investment. I think that it should weigh heavily against even just buying a couple of tokens of this, right? I mean, when you have shrinking population, that's shrinking demand for your product when you're in real estate, right? I mean, there are um, less people that need a home in Memphis today than there were 3 years ago and 10 years ago. You have to go all the way back to 2000 to see a growing population. So that's interesting. Maybe I eventually end up ruling out this market altogether. Um, I'm surprised by that, because I know there are spots in Tennessee that are doing well. Apparently, Memphis is not one of them. Okay, but in any case, um, it's something. And like I said, I mean, I'm not doing 100% of my due diligence when I'm on here. It's trying to tell you some of the stuff to look at and that I look at. I think that I'm probably going to spend a little more time trying to understand what's going on here. I'll do that through Wikipedia, through a couple other sources. But I am going to still just move forward and do some of the other stuff because, sometimes, so obviously that leads to, this is probably not a great long-term investment. But sometimes if you can get something there with such a low basis, maybe it could be a good short-term investment. Uh, as I mentioned, this one popped out to me um, because of the very low token price. And I think part of the reason right now is because you're getting $0 in rental yield. That's because they had a capital call and they're paying that back and they're paying back the operating reserve balance. Both of those things, though, don't affect the value of the property itself. And I think that a lot of the token investors right now are putting a little bit too much emphasis on the value of the yield and not really looking at the value of the underlying property. Um, this is just my thought right now. I think it's possible. It's certainly possible that I'm missing something, right? That there are bigger problems with some of these properties, that they'll never be profitable rentals. I think that that's perfectly possible, because you'll constantly have these turnover expenses and capital calls. But if at some point in time we realize that the property can be sold, and so I'm going to show you, uh, let's see, this property, and obviously, I'm not going to buy anything on this platform without clicking every single link, right? Like I want to do all of the on-platform due diligence that they've provided for me. So I'm going to click on all these. But I'm also going to do all of the off-platform stuff, like I said, where I'm looking at, looking at Zillow, looking at homes.com, like we just did, looking at Wikipedia for the market. Oh, let's close that. No. And so let's see. House Canary value, 147. It's interesting, but their rental value is also 1591, and you can see that we're not getting that. This is interesting. I like this info that they share. Um, One of the things that you might want to do if you're thinking about putting a serious amount of money into any one of these properties is to go and look up every single one of these properties online. Just like we're doing with, I'm moving my tabs around. You can't see that because I don't have screen recording, I think. But so just like we did, look it up on Zillow, which I think we'll do in a minute, but also Google the address, and then let's do a street view, right? I want to drag this little guy here. This is something that I like to do with every property. You get a good sense of the neighborhood. That is an epic car right there. Parked right in front of, I wonder if that's one of the current tenants. Now this image capture was January 2022, so probably not. Looks like you have a vacant lot next to you. I don't always love having a vacant lot next to a property. They can often be not well maintained and have trash, but it doesn't look like that's what's going on here. This is the home itself. Looks actually like maybe it's one of the nicer ones on the street. That one's not bad either. Um, but I think you can learn a lot just from using the Google Street View. Now, obviously, we're still in January 2022, so a lot could have happened since then. That's one thing to keep in mind. But I think like just general character of the neighborhood, you can find out a lot by doing this, right? And this is a really simple step that I think, I haven't seen many people talk about doing this when picking out tokens, right? They're like looking at their yield, they're looking at token price movement. None of that stuff is stuff I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about. Um, I'm just zooming out to see, where this fits into the city in general. Like I said, obviously, I don't know a lot about Memphis as a market. You saw, I was surprised that it's losing population, and so certainly not an expert as far as this market goes. But I think you can learn a lot. You could see if you're backed up to an industrial property, if you did this and you were, if you were too close to this highway, if that was a major highway. I don't really think it is though. This isn't like an elevated. Yeah, this is not a major highway as far as having to worry about street noise from there. But there's a lot of stuff that you can pick up from Google Maps that I think you should do on every single property. And that, it's one of the reasons I want to spend some time looking at properties with you guys. I already pulled this up on Zillow. Their current estimate, 129. We saw that Home Canary price. Let me do homes.com. See what they think. I think I already, now I gotta get the address. Yep. That address. This is all free stuff, right? Like, not, I know with the short-term rentals, I'm using a paid subscription for AirDNA, but you don't even have to pay to get most of the info on there. But for a lot of this stuff, this is just free info. And okay, so this estimated value 146. So far, I think 129 is the lowest one that we've seen. Let's get back onto the property page itself. I thought they usually provide like a real appraisal. I don't think this House Canary property valuation report. This isn't. I'm just gonna exit this. Yeah, this isn't an actual appraisal, although it is detailed. Some of the other properties I noticed. Oh, and this is a May 2024. Some of the other properties have like real appraisals with them. I don't know if they don't have it here. If I'm just missing it. Operating reserve balance, transaction data. Oh, maybe this. Maybe it'll be in here. Oh no. Oh, these are the transactions. So see, and as I mentioned, I mean, I'm really learning this platform just like you. Um, it's not stopping me from doing a little bit of investing on here because I spent a lot of time trying to understand how the platform, what I'm actually buying a piece of. And I think that, I think some of the benefits of buying on here where you're getting geographic diversification, you're getting to make small bets in a number of properties. All of that I think makes it worth it. Um, yeah, let's look at the closing statement and see I think I know what they bought it for, but I've been surprised already. Yeah, so they bought it for 130. And this, do they have a date on here? No, that's not the date of the transaction. Oh, right here. Settlement date October 25th, 2021. So 3 years ago, they bought it for 130. That's interesting. In most markets, I think that means it's more than that today. Um, where Memphis is shrinking, maybe that's not true, where the population is. I'm also going to want to look at the financials here. What's happening? Get stuck. But so this is what, so at this current, this is the thing, the math that we're going to do here and figure out, their market cap 146 this is always calculated at the $50 token price, right? But if we have, there's 25 tokens available for sale for $26.50. So at 26.50 and there's total token, times 2922, and then I'm taking that number from right here, the total tokens available. So if you bought all the tokens at 77,000, but times 0.06, because there's that 6% fee. So if you bought all the tokens at that price, you'd spend $82,000. And then presumably you can sell it today for the 130. So let's do, what is going on here? My computer is giving me a problem. All right. So we do the 130, let's say, conservatively, you can sell it for that. That seems pretty fair if you bought it, based on what we looked at. I always like to assume that I'm only going to get about 91% back because about 9% transaction cost being paying an agent, paying title insurance, all those sorts of things. It certainly could be different in Tennessee. That varies by state quite a bit, but I think that's in most states that's a pretty fair, safe number to use. So 118,000 minus the 82. It might have been 82,500 or something. I'm not sure. But so, it leaves you with about 30. So if you could buy that whole property and just liquidate it today, it looks like there's about $35,000 to be made. Um, and so any small piece, which is a pretty good return if you just bought it and liquidated it right away. And so that's one of the things why, even though it's a shrinking market, even though it's not, they're not currently paying out rent because it's, needs to fill up an operating reserve and there's a capital call, there might still be some opportunity here, right? This is something, there's a lot more for me to look through, so I don't know that I necessarily am going to buy many of these. I might just go and buy one of these tokens today because I want to, the last time that I did this, I messed it up and it didn't go through. And I really just want to see, is this work? Can I do an instant sale if if I'm doing it the right way? I think the answer is yes, but I'm not certain. There's yeah, here, this is that other, they give you a little bit of info on the market. Um, Rents and home prices have increased 12.5% just the past year. See this is interesting, right? Like whenever you have a shrinking market, but you have increasing home prices, um, you know, one thing that happens to your rental stock is over time, a lot of properties, fall into disrepair and so some, even though some markets it seems like okay, well, I'm losing demand. Sometimes you're losing supply as well, if they're not building a whole lot of new homes. I'm not sure that that's the case here, but it is. Anytime that you have increasing prices and rents, but decreasing population, there has to be something else going on that we're missing. Um, so we looked at the value. Oh, that's the other thing too. Is what's interesting is when you look at the address, you get his estimate here, but sometimes you get a rental's estimate and sometimes you don't. I'm not really sure why that is. When we looked at homes.com, did they give us a rental estimate on here? I don't think that they do. Some people like to use rentometer or rentometer. It's not one that I've found to be particularly accurate. Where this one, it's been operating for 3 years on this platform, I think. How long is this? No, it hasn't. Um, but they've gone through a couple of leasings on this, right? And it's currently rented at 12.45. Oh, that is what I did. I used I looked at this before we got on here on Rentometer, but just looked at like the top line. I don't have an account. I don't have a paid account. Let me see. Let's get back to this. Oh, nope. You guys can see how computer illiterate I can be. Why can't I get that to come up? There we go. Put this address in. Use the house duplex. 4 bedroom. You can either do that or an apartment. Those are your only real options. More than 1.5 bath. I think this works pretty well for apartments and not really great for single family homes. You can see 25th percentile is 1592, and what did I say we're actually getting here? 1245. That's the security deposit. That's a 1-year lease. So we're well below the 25th percentile, well below the median, well below the average as well. Now, obviously, you can go in and download comps. I actually don't know why I can't do either of these. Probably because I don't have an account anymore. Although it's letting me, I could do a free trial, but I just don't trust it that much anyway. I think seeing that you're well below these and that we have a lease in place, gives me a little bit of comfort in this. That's the first thing that I usually do, and I didn't actually do on this one. Let's see, is look at the pictures, right? I think I had done this before. It looked like it's fresh paint. It obviously, they got it ready to sell. I don't always love when you have mini splits in units, but this is obviously a retrofit of something older that didn't have, um, it's an old property, so it didn't have central AC when it was first built. And so, I think mini splits in that scenario makes a lot of sense. It's when you see like an addition that got built and they used a mini split. Um, these small AC units that go through or attached to the wall. A lot of times, it's an indication that you have a DIYer, right? It's because they didn't want to run ductwork or whatnot. But I don't think that's what's happening here. It could be actually, though. Yes, they do have, but this may have been for heating. I don't know. It's pretty small. Um, I know I'm kind of all over the place on this one. And this, one of the things that I should do is share the checklist that I used to use. This is sort of how my process looks now, and it's really messy. And it's because, as something, because I look at lots and lots of investment properties, as something jumps out at me, I'm always just looking for a quick reason to say no to something. And that's because, one, I'm usually working for clients. Even when I'm working on my own account, I'm looking for, a property that I'm going to buy the whole thing, and it's a much bigger risk at each point in time. And so, if I find one thing that rules out a property, I just won't buy it. One of the things, try not to sneeze here. Um, this is obviously really terrible work. But if you look at the rental rate, you're obviously trying to provide a very cheap property here. I'm really trying to talk myself into it because of that. Look at the terrible shape the carpet's in too. Because of that, just the discount to um the value today, right? Like just where you could turn around and sell the property, if you liquidated it, you'd make some money. As an, from any other perspective, I don't like this as an investment, right? I don't think it's long term. It doesn't make a ton of sense, um, because you are in a market with a shrinking population. You've got an older property that clearly has some issues. I mean, that's probably why you've had the capital calls that you've had. Um, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm just going to buy one of these tokens. It's going to be a good way for me to remind myself that I looked at this sometime in the future, see where it is. I really just want to go through that transaction process on here anyway. Definitely not buying $1,000 worth of this one today. Oop, where'd we go? But I don't think it hurts. I'm gonna YOLO into one token, right? So let's see if we can do this right this time. Just gonna get one token, just $50 worth. We're going to do the limit order. This is see, I don't know why it's defaulting to this. I want the Lofty wallet to be my default. See, I've already got stuff in that wallet. I'm going to do a limit price of $26.50 because I saw those for sale for that amount already. Let's calculate that fee again and see, is that sticking at 6% or is there something else going on here? 0.46. And if you do it in the wrong order, you can always hit the 1 over x. Okay, see now it's 5.5. So it's not exactly doing 6%. I'm not sure. Oh, well, let's see. Does this show how it's calculated? Platform fee, 80 cents. 3% fee to invest in the marketplace. Oh, okay. This is interesting. So I'm making an operating reserve contribution when I do this. Ah, okay. See, you learn a lot by clicking on these things. Anyway, making a very small purchase here, right? $27. Um, but I'm just gonna buy this one. It'll be interesting to watch it. It'll be easier to remind myself to keep up with it by doing that. Um, and this is one of the things that I go back and forth on. I love that you can buy, pieces of real estate for so cheap. I don't think it's worth like spending a lot of mental space, on such a small dollar amount. Um, that's why I'm hesitating for doing this. Maybe I'll buy 10 tokens. Some chance of making a reasonable amount of money, but not risking so much that it's gonna, really hurt me. Yeah, so now I'm YOLOing into 10. I think, as I mentioned, I think it seems like it should be hard to be hurt by this property. As long as it doesn't get held forever, the basis just makes me believe that we should do okay in the long run. But, taking a little bit of a risk, don't love the market, don't love the property itself. I really don't like when we're so far below the median rent in an area. Oh, that's one thing. We saw I forgot to point out a lot of reasons not to like this property. But you can see him flip-flopping quite a bit. I'm just going to pull the trigger. Let's see how this works. Preview order. No, I just want to do it one time. Rent balance applied, 3 cents. And like I said, I mean, that's part of the beauty of the platform is you can make these very small bets into multiple properties. I have to a little bit shift my mindset because I'm used to buying properties, might be putting 20 or 30 or more $1,000 down, making uh, which is a much bigger portion of my net worth. If it goes wrong, there could be a real problem. Um, where luckily for this, you can do a ton of these. I don't think that it means that you should be completely irresponsible. I think that there's a good thesis that I'm getting real value here, even though I don't think this is a great long-term investment. I think it'll do pretty well in the short run. Um, I don't know why my order is hung up here. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to go through that whole thing on this video. Uh, But I don't. Oh, there we go. Success. This transaction did not complete successfully. Hmm. I'm gonna take a little screenshot of that and see what happens here. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stop recording for today. I'll see if I can figure that out, see what the problem is. I'm going to figure this out eventually. Hopefully, you still get something out of seeing me analyze the property, even though the experiment of actually owning stuff is not going well. It's pretty funny that so far I haven't been able to buy anything on here despite my best efforts. In any case, until next time, I'll keep working on it, and I'll get you another property where hopefully we can do a little better. All right.